Hey again, everybody, and welcome to the Experience Maker Show. This is Dan Gingiss, Customer Experience Speaker and Coach. So happy to have you here with us on our 1-year anniversary. That's right, February 6th, 2020, I decided to launch this program. We didn't even know what the coronavirus was at that point, or maybe we were hearing about it being this thing that was maybe growing overseas. And we've kept it up every week other than Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. And it's been a ton of fun for me to interview such great people, learn from them, and hopefully share great takeaways with you. So thanks for continuing to watch, whether you're watching us live or watching us on replay on YouTube or listening as a podcast on your favorite podcast app, or even reading about it on the blog afterwards. Really appreciate it. Today, we have yet another fascinating guest. He is the VP of Growth and Marketing from a company called Kustomer, spelled with a K, and we're going to get into the K in Kustomer. Gabe Larsen. Welcome, Gabe, to the show.
Thank you. It's awesome to be on with Dan. Really appreciate the opportunity. Exciting.
Well, I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. You're in my inbox a lot with great content, and I enjoy.
Notice he didn't say spam. He said great content.
Not spam. I like what you guys are doing. But tell the audience a little bit about yourself and also about the company.
Yeah. So as said, I'm Vice President of Growth at a company called Kustomer with a K. We're an omnichannel customer service CRM, helping companies reimagine their customer experience. Big news for us, if you didn't hear, in December, we announced that Facebook would be acquiring Kustomer, pending regulatory review. So we're excited about the potential to join the Facebook family. But, for me, kind of an interesting background. Spent my time like you bouncing around some different larger corporations, but always have loved the customer experience. I actually spent 5 years in the Middle East running the customer experience program for Toyota out of Saudi Arabia and Dubai. MPS to their dealerships and training their reps on magic moments, we call them. And so to find my way back to Kustomer, it's a technology that, again, we don't do everything, but that enables better customer experience, especially in our current environment where customer experience is just, it is the differentiator. It's fun. So I've been loving it and been at Kustomer the last year and a half.
That's awesome. And I know that one of the things you guys see on your website is that I'm gonna butcher the exact words, but that basically it's a customer service platform that actually focuses on the customer. Yeah. And I think that's really cool. And I also love that you just said we don't do everything, because there are so many softwares out there that claim to do everything. And usually that means they do one thing well and everything else okay. So what is the thing that you guys are known for that really helps you stand out?
Yeah, I think the thing that and let me just go big picture, and I'll try to answer it fairly quickly. I'm sometimes long-winded, so you may have to cut me off. But we feel like there's been this monumental shift in the customer experience, especially with COVID, where people are wanting not what maybe they wanted 10 years ago. And I've often said you have this Zappos story that we've all heard, right? That every person calls in and he's not even a customer, and they talk to him for 30 hours and everybody's happy. I don't know if every customer wants a 30-hour conversation anymore. We are seeing what we're calling the me economy, where people want it now. They want it their way on the channel of their choice. They want low effort. It's about them. And so what we're trying to help the industry shift from is this idea of a ticket-based approach where someone calls in and they say, hey, your ticket number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and really start to empower reps and agents to focus on the me economy, which is the person that they're actually engaging with. That means allowing them to be able to interact on different channels, again, respond quickly and keep the person at the center versus, the channel at the center or the ticket at the center. And for some, that might be, for a lot of people, I'm surprised. To me, it seems obvious, Dan, but a lot of companies are still struggling with what we call the Frankenstack. They got all these different technologies. So putting the customer at the center it's actually pretty difficult.
Yeah. Well, and the whole strategy behind that is trying to be everything to everyone, which is kind of the opposite of customer experience, right? I want you to be the right thing for me, not everything to everyone. So I love that concept of the me economy. I think that is really powerful. Thank you, by the way, for our viewers that are sharing some comments. A couple of nice congrats on hitting a year. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Dan. Randy says he loves Zappos. Everybody loves Zappos. It's a great
and I
company.
didn't mean to knock it too much, Randy. So I hopefully I didn't knock Zappos. I'm a buyer. I'm a believer.
No. It's a terrific company, and it's definitely very good at what it does. So I know you probably can't get into a ton of details, so stop me if I'm asking you something you can't answer. But I'm curious about Facebook's reasoning for wanting to own a company like Kustomer. Can you talk at all about where it fits in their strategy?
I certainly can't, because the deal is still pending review.
Yeah.
I can't go into it in a lot of details, but the only thing maybe I'd mention, and I'd try to even get Facebook out of it a little bit and maybe go more broad and just hit the word social commerce. If you look at the stats out there, it's amazing to see how e-commerce is moving to social commerce, and how, again, we're not just buying off websites, we're clicking through our social channels, whatever it may be, from TikTok to YouTube to Facebook. And we're marketing, we're selling, we're engaging, we're buying, we're servicing through those channels. And with the power of social commerce coming online, I think one of the big trends you're going to see is, how can we tighten that whole customer journey up? People have been saying e-commerce for a long time, and you got some amazing things that people do from that online experience, whether it's Amazon or Zappos. But what if I got an Instagram store? How is that experience, top to bottom, beginning to A to Z? So we just play one facet in that. We focus on the customer service side of the house, but I think whether it's Facebook or others, you're seeing a lot of organizations want to tap into this idea of social commerce. And I'm excited about just that overarching trend and the role we can maybe play in it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, as you probably know, I've been a big fan of customer service and social media for a long time, wrote a book on it in 2017. And, my belief is that social commerce works well for certain types of businesses.
Yeah.
I always try to imagine, because I try to put myself in the customer's shoes, some poor schlump is looking at cat videos and baby pictures, and we're interrupting them with an ad, right? That ad better be something that is going to grab their attention, because they're not thinking about us at that moment. They're not thinking about buying whatever it is we want them to buy. And so for me anyway, having worked in almost every marketing channel other than television,
right?
When I first saw social media, the thing that stuck out to me was, hey, this is the first marketing channel where people can talk back. And I thought that was fascinating, and hence went to the customer service route. But I'll admit, even though it's somewhat controversial and maybe even against what the numbers say, I still don't love social as a sales channel. I think it's a tough sales channel compared to something like search, where, at least the person's expressing intent when they're typing in a search term, and you know that they're in a shopping mode. But I love social as an engagement channel. It's the engagement channel. So I think it's a really interesting fit, and I love. I'm happy that Facebook is continuing to focus on the service side of the house too, and not just the marketing side, where clearly they make most of their money.
Well, and I do think there's a lot of unanswered questions in social commerce. For me, it still feels a little bit new, and I'm getting older, so I'm not all into all the platforms and stuff like that. But it feels like there's an uncharted territory. I mean, there's more to come on that, and we're seeing trends in Asia. People are spending a lot more time on platforms and in these types of instances. And then, when it comes to the service side, I just wanted to mention, because I've experienced this now firsthand, and this isn't just social commerce, but I can feel the pain of it, where if I'm a small business, and let's say, again, I'm selling a product, e-commerce, social commerce, and I now have these customers coming in and trying to engage with me pre or post sale. So I maybe get a couple chats. I got a couple emails coming into Gmail. Maybe I got a couple direct messages coming on Instagram or something hitting me on YouTube. And I know I only get 1,000 inquiries a month, so it's not crazy. But when you feel that, Dan, and you see it, and he only has 2 agents or 3 agents, but they're opening TikTok, they're opening Instagram, they're opening YouTube, they're opening their email, they're trying to answer a phone, and it feels, just for the agent, I haven't even gotten to the customer yet, but it feels for the agent like it's not working. And so to bring those together just for the agent, so that irregardless, and this is where I feel like people sometimes mess up with word choices, multi-channel versus omni-channel. What I just explained to you is a terrible multi-channel experience for rep and customer. We got to erase that. Omni-channel, where they could come in at any channel. What I see from a user experience is just a conversation. And so one of the things I've been trying to push is, I'm about conversationships, how conversations lead to relationships. Let's get away from the channel. Let's get into conversations, because I don't care what the channel is. I talk to my wife sometimes, Dan, text, then I switch to chat, then I switch to phone, then I switch to email. I don't care what the channel is. I have a conversation because we're humans and it's all about continuity. So that weird feeling, I've just been monitoring some of these different businesses, and my heart goes out for these agents that are just, we got to fix that. And
it's like whack-a-mole, right? Yeah. And you're so right. I mean, it doesn't, the agent, or frankly, the company, shouldn't care what channel their customers want to talk to.
I don't know if it matters that. I mean, look, from a number, it's about, for us, it does, because we need cost per call, cost per chat. But for the agent and the customer, I don't know. I think this move from multi to omni, to maybe even ditch the channel word and let's just start talking about conversations, because conversations are what drive relationships and customer experience, and let's make it easier to do that. I think there's something there.
Absolutely. And, I always like to tell companies that we want customers to talk to us, right? And when we only look at that as a cost, you're sort of missing the bigger picture. Either customers are talking to us because they're having a problem, in which case they're giving us an opportunity to fix it. They're basically saying, hey, I care enough about you that I'd really like this fixed so I can continue paying you money, instead of what's worse, which is I'm pissed off and I'm just going to leave, right? So the whole retention aspect of customer service is often not calculated into that quote unquote cost. I believe that the contact center is often a great revenue generator, not a cost center. And then the other part is, social introduced a different element, which is positive comments. And that's what I love to focus on. But nobody's ever called the call center on the phone just to say, hey, you're doing a great job. And yet people tweet about brands all the time saying that they did something great. And it shocks me when those go unanswered, because here you've got somebody that's leveraging their own social capital to basically do your marketing for you. It's a terrific opportunity to jump in there and even just thank them, even just like their tweet makes a big difference.
But sorry, just one comment on that, because that is, and I try to do this, at least once a quarter, just go out and hang out with some of these businesses. It's been a little harder, so I've been doing it more digitally, but it sounds so easy to just go like your tweet, especially for these small businesses. But again, when I've got email and phone and Instagram and Twitter and a mailbox, I often forget to monitor that Twitter channel, and it's just that whack-a-mole thing. And so I'm like, we got to all help each other, because I think this discombobulated Franken stack is causing some problems. So I've felt it.
No question. We need technology to do this. And I think that's why companies like yours exist. It is difficult to be going and, even just the list of channels you got to go check is getting ridiculous.
It's like 14, 15 channels.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I would say to companies is focus on the channels where your customers are. I worked for Humana for 2 years. The main focus there is on Medicare Advantage plans. We're focused on seniors. It didn't matter that we weren't on Snapchat or Instagram very much, right? But we had to be on Facebook because that's where the seniors are. Depending on your product or service, you don't have to be everywhere, but you have to know where your customers are and where they want to talk to you. Randy, appreciate all your comments. I'm going to grab a couple of them. Just back to the last conversation, he said he was doing a lot of purchasing over the holidays via retargeting. Yes, I think retargeting is great. That's the way to do social selling, because obviously, again, the intent has already been expressed. And so therefore, it's relevant versus Randy, them just showing you some random pair of shoes that you've never seen before and weren't looking for. He says social commerce is here to stay, which I definitely agree is true. But with more social commerce comes more need for customer service, right? So that's the other.
The other thing I really like about some of these fun trends with e-commerce and social commerce is that cost center, revenue center you kind of mentioned, where it's weird to see some of these agents, and maybe I'm just old school, but we were working with a wedding dress company, working to disrupt. I love the story. They're working to disrupt the idea of buying wedding dresses. So they're doing it all digital. I mean, I don't even know how they do it, but to see when someone comes pre-sale, so they haven't even purchased anything, and start interacting with the brand, commenting, chatting, and then watching that person have a continued conversation through the entire journey. I love when we kind of blow up customer service and say, you know what, it doesn't have to be post-sales. Let's move it to pre-sales and make them kind of feel that continuity throughout the entire journey. That's a fun trend, I think, as well with some of these things.
For sure. And think about that person, a woman looking for the dress. They might be doing that for 3 different brands. Which one do you think they're going to buy the dress from? The one that interacts with them. The one that ignores them. The other thing I would say, and I'm sure you have more experience on this, is one of the things I found at the companies I worked for is that when you give agents a chance to engage with customers or prospects that are happy, it's a really nice, refreshing change. Because again, most contact center agents, back when we called it a call center and all they were doing was picking up the phone, every time they pick up the phone, it's an angry customer. That's got to get, tough. It's got to be hard every day to just be talking to angry customers. So when now all of a sudden you can sprinkle in some people that are happy, and it changes things. I think it makes them better agents with the angry customers, which you kind of need. You need that. But what are you seeing in terms of the kind of range of positivity versus negativity when it comes to social, in terms of what are people using the channel for? Is it about that they want to establish a relationship, or they want to give some brand love and want some love back? Or is it where it started, a few years ago, where it's really about, oh, I'm going to show them and I'm going to complain as loudly as I can?
Yeah. This is with this social commerce. It's I think in a lot of ways still an untapped resource, and we still don't have all the answers on it. So I'd say a couple things. One is by industry, you certainly see it slightly different. So in some of the, I would say, more standardized traditional industries, let's say like travel, still often used as a place for disgruntled people to kind of vet some of their frustrations. As you move into more, let's say, modern industries, some of these direct-to-consumer brands, it does feel like the shopping, this is where social commerce is really taking off. And so you're seeing, I think, the shopping play a big role, as well as this idea of true engagement, which means positive conversation, negative conversation, but if nothing else, back and forth conversation. My expectation is that you'll continue to see this be almost like a full-scale channel, top to bottom. Traditionally, it's just been a way to kind of bash your, kind of get mad at a company. That's probably 5 years ago. Modern social channel, it's everything. Retarget, interact, chat, buy, market, sell, service, upsell. I think you'll be able to see all of them in a more structured manner, but definitely by industry, we just see that, like you said, Humana, probably not on Snapchat. They may never. And so social isn't being used at all. If it is, it's probably just to float some maybe in a offensive or, disgruntled customer feedback. That's kind of the trend I currently see on the social front.
Yeah. That's fair enough. That makes sense. I think the industry is so different. I worked for a couple of regulated industries too. That makes things more difficult. The regulations, believe it or not, often don't even mention social media, so it's difficult to interpret what was meant by them. We had a really interesting case at Humana where somebody posted this long Facebook post about their daughter having diabetes, and
Wow.
the insulin pump got rejected, and so they were mad.
Wow.
And it was a very heartfelt post. Of course, it was accusing the company of wanting to kill her daughter. We'll put that aside. But what was interesting about it was the reason the pump got declined was because the doctor actually ordered the wrong pump. They ordered an adult pump for a child.
Oh, interesting.
And so the reason made perfect sense. But when it came to responding, all of a sudden the lawyers were like, "Oh, hold on a minute. We've got HIPAA and privacy laws, and I don't know if we can mention that the girl has diabetes or that we're even talking about a pump." And I said, "But hold on a minute. This woman just emptied her heart here in a public post. At some point we give up our right to privacy when it's no longer private." But what was fascinating to me was that, and I read all of HIPAA. I know I'm a nerd. There's nothing in about social media. There's nothing. It's not mentioned. And so it's left to lawyers to interpret. And I do think that it would be helpful for regulated industries to be able to help customers in a genuine way without giving up private information. When I was at Discover, we'd see millennial after millennial getting their first credit card and snapping a picture of themselves with the card and the card number showing. We're like, no,
really? That's
awesome.
That's so great.
But
there's more to come. I think the journey's the reward on social. So I think that credit card one, that's classic. That's a great one. But there's obviously power there. And if organizations, and I think you said it right, not every organization is designed for Snapchat. So go to the channel that your customers want to be on. But some of these things that we're finding, general trends, like people are often desiring some more self-service opportunities. You might not be on Snapchat, but if you're all on the phone, can you institute something to allow people to, I've noticed more and more airlines are doing the call back feature. They call you back when we're ready rather than waiting. I call that a nice step in self-service, like making it easier. So you don't have to jump on Snapchat, but there is a trend about, making things easier, making people want to do it their way. So how do you do that? And if it's phone, then focus on the phone.
Well, and to the extent that contact centers are looked at as cost centers, that's a way to reduce cost, is that when you allow people to self-serve, or when you have questions that are asked repetitively, put a Q&A on your website so that when people go search for it, they find the answer and they don't even have to call you at all. And it is strange to me how rare that still is. I want to shift for a moment into chatbots, and I want to get your thoughts and opinions on the role of chatbots in customer service.
Yeah, this one is near and dear to my heart. I had my own experience with the chatbot years, maybe I say about 5 years ago, and everyone was talking. It was cool, and so I just thought I'd throw it up somewhere, and it would just do its thing, and it was a lot of work, Dan. It was more work than I thought. So my first word of caution would be, it's not a flip the switch. If you're serious about a chatbot, much like your other channels, it's going to require a little bit of work. Now, with that said, I just saw an amazing example. We've got a company we work with over in Europe. Using AI and bot capability, they're now answering about 70% of initial inquiries via a bot structure. Where's my order? When's it going to get to me? That bot then can, when it can answer, automatically routes it to an agent. The agent then can switch channels and start texting this individual when they jumped in the car, and then easily switch to the phone. And so I'm seeing the evolution of, again, this omni approach. Like they start in chat, but they end on the phone, and it's all just clicks of a button. So I wouldn't be afraid of it, would be number two. I just think there's something there, and we ought to explore it. Then number three, I would just say it's about finding the right place, right time, right use case. The thing you really want to be careful with is this idea of forcing people into chat and not allowing them to get to an agent. People they know it's a bot. Don't act like it's a human. Once they interact with it, if you can find a way to solve some of those very basic rudimentary places, again, where's my order? I love that one. Or, something that let's not take a phone call for, but as soon as you start to see frustration, you've got to take the time to program that bot so that it can get and route to the right agent and have maybe a live chat conversation or phone, because most of the frustration that we see is when it's agent, let me talk to somebody, and the bot's like, well, if you give me your email, I'll do that. Well, if you answer this question, I'll just let them talk. so those are maybe 3 points I'd say, but it's a big trend, very interesting. And we are oddly finding that more consumers would like companies to do that. But a lot of our data is saying that a lot of companies are rightfully so hesitant.
Yeah, and I think you hit it on the head that it's a channel in and of itself, and it is an experience. To tie it back to the conversation about social media, a lot of the negativity on social is because people have tried other channels and have failed. And then they're even more frustrated, right? And so, the companies that decided, hey, let's use a chatbot, we'll just recreate the phone tree that we have that already annoys our customers. Press 1 for this, press 2 for this, and we'll just do it in digital form. Right. Well, guess what? Right. That's going to annoy people just as much as it does on the phone. But when it is actually able to solve problems, and especially the asynchronous part about it, when you can come back and it's got the history, you don't have to keep repeating yourself. I do think there is something there into the experience, and I'm excited to see what's to come.
Well, and you'll see this, just one more piece on the chat, that if you can make that conversation flow into the future, because big thing we hear from organizations, customer bases is, I started on chat, I liked the concept, I did have to switch channels. Once I did, I started over. It's just, if you can, don't make them start over. See if you can bring that into that phone. It's not that difficult. It's about taking channels, combining it with some CRM capability, but that's also a big gotcha.
For sure. That's the same as the IVR asking you to type in your account number, and then the agent, the first question is, what's your account number? Customers get this, and they get frustrated by it. And one piece of advice I always give is become a customer of your own company. Go through your own customer service as a customer and see if you get annoyed, because ultimately as consumers, we know what annoys us. And if it annoys you as a consumer, don't do it to your customers, because it's annoying them as well. Yeah. Gabe, I always say this is the fastest half an hour on the internet. I can't believe we blew through 31 minutes already. Thank you so much, though, for being on here. I feel like we could talk for hours more.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. Really appreciate the time.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here. And check out Kustomer. It's customerwithak.com. And Gabe is available at Gabe Larsen on Twitter. You're on LinkedIn and what have you. So definitely connect with Gabe. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Before we get to next week's guest, I want to make sure that everybody saw my major announcement at the beginning of the week. We did a special episode on Monday. I have a new book coming out September 14th, The Experience Maker, How to Create Remarkable Experiences That Your Customers Can't Wait to Share. This is the worldwide premiere of the cover. I've got a forward written by the amazing Ann Hanley, and it is a great forward. She is the marketing goddess. This is a customer experience book, and I promise you, just her forward is an experience to read. So check it out. It'll be coming out September 14th. And our guest next week is a close friend of mine, a mentor, and actually a coach, Brian Kramer. He is the founder of H2H, which stands for human to human. His concept is there's no longer such a thing as B2B or B2C. It's all human to human. We're going to talk to Brian Kramer, another marketer who looks at marketing from an experience perspective, which, as you know, I really love. Thank you again for being here on the Experience Maker Show. I'm Dan Gingiss, customer experience speaker and coach. You can find me at dangingiss.com. or hit me up on Twitter, LinkedIn, or any other socials. I'd love to meet you and talk with you about the customer experience that you're delivering for your customers. Have a great rest of the week and a terrific weekend. We'll see you next week.